In this episode of the Hua Hin Today podcast, I'm joined by Guido Campigato, the F&B Director at Monsoon Valley Vineyard in Hua Hin. He's a real people person and he's always carrying a good story, and this episode certainly shows it. Before moving to Thailand and Hua Hin, Guido spent years in London's restaurant scene, crossing paths with actors, footballers, people from Formula One. If you name them, Guido probably knows them. He also talks about Monsoon Valley, their wines, and the events coming up in the future. It's a good episode. I could have chatted to Guido for hours. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for agreeing to do this, Guido. I think a lot of people in Hua Hin know you from Monsoon Valley, of course. You're always a big supporter of events, and Monsoon Valley is such a well-known venue in Hua Hin. But today I wanted to talk a bit about that and go back for you yourself. Delve into a little bit about what early life was like, your background. You're Italian. What was it like growing up in Italy? And how did you end up finding your way to Hua Hin?
Okay. I didn't stay long in Italy, so let's talk about when I moved from Italy to England when I was 16. I'm an orphan, so I did schooling here, there, and everywhere. I was placed in few places with uncles and aunties and all that. And then my brother went to England to work in London, and he asked me to go and see him on a trip one summer, I think. And of course, I come from a little village with 250 people on the mountain of Lake Como.
Oh, right.
And when you arrive in London, you go like, wow. And so I was there for 3 days and I decided I'm going to stay.
Was your plan always to leave Italy? Or was it just like life takes you in a direction sometimes?
Life took me that direction, basically, because like I said, then I spoke with my brother and I said, why don't I just stay here? You can take care of me legally.
Yeah.
But I was more or less taking care of myself already. And within 2 weeks, I was already doing a summer work period of school and in restaurants. So I thought, let me find a job in a restaurant, even though I spoke very little English.
Yeah.
And so within a few weeks, I found a job in one of the, luckily, one of the most famous Italian restaurants at the time. That was called San Frediano.
Where in London's that?
Funnily enough, Fulham Road, next to South Kensington. The reason I say funnily enough is that fast forward 20 years and I bought a restaurant opposite, which became incredibly famous, really amazing. And maybe we can talk about that later. But so I was 16, turning 17. And by law in England, you're not supposed to work.
Yeah.
Well, they said,
I didn't want to say that, Guido, but yeah, you did.
When I signed the form, I put myself down as 18.
Oh, right.
The manager took me without checking, because in England in these days, nobody ever looked at your documents.
Yeah, what year was this?
84,
Okay.
Becoming 85, or
Okay.
85 becoming 86, I can't remember. It was the year, I tell you why, which is another connection, because life takes you a little bit everywhere. It was the year when Boris Becker won the first Wimbledon championship. And I remember seeing this kid walking into the restaurant. I was in charge of that station, very humble after he won Wimbledon. And he was so young, and he was the youngest ever. And as he walked in to go to his table, the whole restaurant burst into applause. Because in England, you know that Wimbledon is like,
Yeah.
everybody loves Wimbledon.
Yeah.
So because he was the youngest, I don't know, because he was humble or whatever the reason was, the whole restaurant exploded into applause. And life took me further down, maybe 20 years later, to become a very good friend of...
Yeah, that's, you know what, since we started this, I've wanted people on the podcast that have stories and can basically carry me through, right? when I'm thinking, what am I going to say? What's the next question? Because I don't have questions. We've just got topics we might discuss. But every time I chat with you, you just drop something in like, Oh, and Boris Becker. And then you later became friends with Boris Becker, right? So it's, though I hope through this episode, there's loads of little bits that just like drop things in and yeah, it's really interesting.
I
So,
was actually on the phone with him 3 days ago. I have a friend opening a jewelry shop in Milan. She asked me if I could invite some of my friends to help her. And so I invited him because I know his wife is very pregnant. They're about to have his fifth kid, I think. Yeah. And so I sent him a text, and then he called me back. We chatted a little bit about the birth of his kid. He has a very beautiful wife. And it's good to see him back to the top after the unfortunate episode that he went to jail for, let's call it fraud, but it wasn't really. I know him particularly well. It's very easy for people to judge others when you don't actually know them properly. In the case of Boris, he hid the money, he hid this, he hid that, sure. But in the end, he was doing it for his family, for his kid, for the future of his children. And I take that as an honorable thing to do in the way that he did it, because he would have paid back eventually what he owed to this hedge fund. But unfortunately, they claimed they tried to recollect the money earlier, and that brought him to that little short space of jail. But he's back again at the top. He's doing commentator for German Sky TV, and he's living in Milan. I met him a couple of times in the last 2-3 years when I was there in Monza. So he's doing good, and very happy to see that.
promote your business on the Hua Hin Today podcast. Email info@huahintoday.com or DM us now. So you're in London, you're 16, 17, you're working in an Italian restaurant. What are you working? Are you starting at the bottom? Are you pot washing?
I'm starting literally at the bottom. In the end, I needed to get, in order to finance my lifestyle, I took on 2.5 jobs because pay rent, pay the school of English, working and living in London is expensive, as we all know, even in these days. So I was working morning in Moorgate into a gentleman restaurant club for city-type businessmen, evening into this restaurant, and then after I used to go and literally wash glasses for another place. And I remember one other thing which is fun in this period, because I was like how do you call it? When you see all these celebrities and all these
like
starstruck, this restaurant, and slowly I learned my trade, not in the particular way, but in the way that I managed to become successful after by having good connection with people and learning how other restaurant owners used to deal with it, because in those days it was not everything 5-star service. It was also a very good connection with customers. Italian people in England was like getting friendly. John Collins jumping on the chair and starting screaming in the same restaurant. And everybody, of course, seeing this lady screaming, getting attention, and she was saying, there is a rat. And the owner, Franco, who was a very famous restaurateur at the time, immediately catching the ball and saying, Jerry, walking around shouting the name Jerry. He's my son, Pet. The whole restaurant eventually looking for Jerry everywhere. And he had managed to get away with it because he had a rat in the restaurant running around, but he got it away. And I remember even months later, people coming in asking, did you find Jerry? Oh, my son is so happy now.
That's quick thinking, right?
Quick thinking, but also that when I say you learn to catch the situation very quickly, that's what happens in my career. And of course, when you get starstruck and you see all these people, you also need to know who they are. And then I used to buy OK Magazine and Hello Magazine and spend hours looking at people to try to recognize them. And that brought me to become a manager in another very well-known restaurant, which was named as the top 10 in the world by the Los Angeles Times. And I was already 19.
Oh, right. And it's young. And all this is happening young, while you're exposed to... You've had a complete change from a little village in like
Correct.
Como to right in the centre of London.
And I loved it. I took like a fish to water because it was really like
Yeah, I can see, yeah.
And even to this day, I had a period in my life when I got out of restaurant and I got into my other passion, which is motor racing. Fine.
Yeah, we'll touch on that.
But then I missed it. I missed the contact with people. I missed it's like an adrenaline rush, really. So then I went back again, and here I am again in hospitality.
Yeah, hard work restaurants, I think. I mean, I only see it from here, but I've got friends who work in restaurants, and I always think, tough, never stop working. You're working when everyone else is enjoying themselves.
That's exactly it. And
long hours, pressure.
Birthday, New Year's Eve, Christmas, you're always working, literally. But so much rewarding. That, or in my case anyway, I had a life beyond my wildest dream. And for me, it turned out to be very, very rewarding. And I really liked what I was doing. And like I said, the connection with people. So eventually I couldn't stay away. I had to come back to it.
So then you're doing that for your late teens, early 20s. And then what happened then? You were still in London. I remember you told me once you had a chain of restaurants, did you? Or
At 22, the owner of the restaurant that I was managing, and I tell you, we had, again, the top clientele, Dustin Hoffman, Roger Moore, Robert De Niro, everyone was coming. The Queen of Beatrice of Holland, Queen Rainier of Jordan. I mean, I can name Princess Diana,
right,
Andrew and Fergie.
They're very, very topical at the moment.
On and on. And he knew that I was very ambitious and that eventually I would have gone to buy my own restaurant. So eventually he said, why don't we go into partnership and we take over another restaurant that I'm after near Sloane Square.
Oh, right.
In London.
Right, yeah.
And this place was called Como Lario. I come from Como. Lario is the name of the Lake Como. So I thought must be
meant to
rhyme. So I agreed to take on this restaurant, and I didn't know that so many people were actually going to this restaurant because they had a connection with me somehow. So they all follow into this new restaurant. So in 1993, I think it was, I opened the first owned restaurant to shareholder on, and it quickly became the kitchen of Formula One. Because we had Bernie Ecclestone coming, Ayrton Senna, Niki Lauda, Gerhard Berger. Again, you name it, they were all there from the Formula One.
Is that where you started to get interested in F1, or had you been interested?
No, I was getting interested, but that's why they were coming.
That's like an Italian thing.
There was a really connection. Yeah. My first race out of the next one is going to be 106 races, and I know it because I have all the passes. So out of 106 races, my first race was 1984 Brands Hatch, with 85 Brands Hatch, with the pass from Slavica, the wife of Bernie Ecclestone. She gave it to me. And so they were still already coming as a result, because, you go there, here, there, and, you get to know people. And then when you open, you send out invitation, people come, and then they were all...
and they all start coming to your restaurant. What was... I would guess the food must have been pretty good, was it?
The food...
Or it was just for a good time?
The formula was different.
If I was walking in your restaurant in 93, what should I have been ordering? What was the...
Oh, we had the favorite particular dish. We had two that were signature dishes. One was the spaghetti with lobster, and the other one was a risotto with wild mushroom, in timballo with Parma ham. So it was wrapped up in Parma ham, and you cut it through, and the juices of the rice, the risotto would come out, and it was an amazing dish, actually.
How long were you in London for in total?
28 years.
Were you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at some point, did you not have something to do with Frankie Dettori and Ronnie Wood, was it, or not? Have I got that?
Yeah. It was a partnership with Frankie Dettori, Ronnie Wood, Lapo El Khan, which is the brother of president of Stellantis, still a very good friend, and the owner of Red Bull.
And that was more restaurants, more Italian restaurants?
That was my last restaurant. It was called Cavallino, which is the prancing horse. And the reason why we blended Cavallino, prancing horse, and the name, and he had also in the neck of the branding, there was a 7, and it was purple branding color was because Frankie won 7-time Ascot and was given the title Sir by the Queen as a result of. He was racing in purple colors always. And there was a little share also from Sheikh Maktoum that he gave as a present. And Cavallino was a prancing horse from La Polcano who owns Ferrari as a business team and factory. And so he owned an agency that designed the logo, and we started off with that.
You said, before we started recording, you said one of your restaurants ended up being the kitchen of Chelsea or something, Chelsea FC. How did you... I know Jose Mourinho reached out to you after... Did he give you shirts and stuff? Like, tell us a bit about that period.
During that period, we were the kitchen of Chelsea because we were not far from the stadium. They would come, the players. Mourinho became a very good friend also, and he used to come a lot. But more importantly, Abramovich, he would only ask me to do cooking for him for the obvious reason, I guess. He trusted there would not be funny things in the food, I guess. I remember him coming, this billionaire, and all he wore was a Casio plastic watch. That was one of the things I remember about him. And the best story I heard about him was when in 2006 Chelsea won the Champions League.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I think it was 2006. And I was in a taxi. I love dropping names, but not for the dropping names reason, because it's actually a factual...
you don't. That's what I like. And I hope that comes across. You're not just someone who says, I know this. You just tell these stories. And I'm like, what?
Well, that's just that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was in a taxi going to a party of Gilda Moratti, who was the daughter of Gianmarco Moratti, brother of Massimo, who won Inter Milan. And I was in a taxi going to a party outside of Luton in the countryside. And... I received a call from my manager saying Chelsea won the Champions League, and we got here Abramovich with, I think it was 28 people and 4 kids, asking if they can have an early dinner and celebrate. So I remember asking the taxi driver, please, can we turn around? I need to go back to my restaurant. We're celebrating Chelsea winning the league. And I was told after that 90% of the taxi drivers are all Arsenal supporters. And the guy looked at me and said, you are going where? I'm dropping you right here. I'm not taking you anywhere near Chelsea. And I thought, excuse me. And he dropped me he just left me there on the middle of the road where I was. And I remember I was just in one of these little areas just outside of London. And I remember seeing a minicab. So I ran into the minicab shop and I said, you need to take me to Chelsea right away, now. And they took me. So I arrived a good 40 minutes later. Outside my restaurant, and there was Abramovich used to come with a couple of bodyguards always that would stay hidden, but on that particular day there were like 7 or 8. He was there with Eugene, which was his business partner.
Right. Yeah, he was something to do with Chelsea as well.
Some shares.
Yeah,
and all these oligarch friends, literally, some Americans as well. And outside is 6 or 8 bodyguards. So I'm running into my restaurant as I would normally do. There were some steps going up, and I got like a wall closing down. He said, where are you going, sir? This is a private party. And I took out my American Express, and I said, you see my name here? He says, Guido Campigato on the license above the door. That's me. So they let me in. And that evening, 28 people spent £70,000 because he was drinking Dom Perignon and Sassicaia and all the top. And they had a big party, but finished quite early. I think by 7:30 everybody was out. And then I received a call from the manager, or like a manager helper of Mourinho, saying that the whole squad was coming. And I said, wow. So you could see by then that a lot of people was fading away because they were walking back from the stadium after celebrating for the last 2 hours. You could see a lot of people fading away. And then all of a sudden, the players started coming in, Mourinho started coming in. And this guy comes to me and says, you should go to see Mourinho because he's got something for you. And I said, really? Mourinho, when I first met him, I remember saying to him, you better bring us some silverware. And he mentioned, I will bring you the championship. And when he came, he gave me this I still have it. It's an extra large Thierry T-shirt that he signed to Guido. And he said, he went into the shop. He grabbed the shirt, the first one he found, and took it. And in the car, he signed it to you. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. And that evening, as the players were arriving, there must have been like word spreading out that they were having dinner there. And there was a moment I look, because we were a little bit above the ground floor, and I look out of one of the window, and there must have been 10,000 people outside going Chelsea. It was incredible. So that was the best story that I would ever about.
When you've got all these famous people coming to your restaurant, are they not attracting, like, are you not having issues with paparazzi, with media? Like, how are you managing all that?
The restaurant was very lucky to have a front entrance and a back entrance. We had many occasions. Lampard was one. Lampard came one evening with his now wife, but at the time it was the lover. And again, we had the paparazzi outside, and I remember calling a taxi, getting it on the back door, and get them to go out that way so that they would not be seen together. So yeah, another time with the paparazzi was when Ferdinand came for dinner, but again it was Pini Zahawi was.
I'll give a little backstory on that. So at that time, any Manchester United fans will remember.
Yeah.
I think there was a period where Rio Ferdinand was maybe not stalling on a new contract, but there were negotiations about him extending his contract at Manchester United. And there was a very famous picture of him in the paper if he was photographed with the Chelsea chairman at the time, Peter Kenyon, who used to be the former chairman at Manchester United. And I think that Man United fans found his house in Manchester and went round his house like with balaclavas on to say, you better sign this contract, don't go to Chelsea. But you've got another story about that, which perhaps people don't know. So he was pretty innocent in all of that, Ferdinand, right? He wasn't idling for a move.
No, I had a dinner reservation for Pini Zahawi and Peter Kenyon. Table for two, but
Pini Zahavi is who?
The manager.
He was the agent of
Ferdinand. And he asked in particular for a table which was in the corner by the front window of six, a table for 6 people. And because it was Pini, we were very busy restaurant. Because it was Pini and with Peter Kenyon, I thought we will give it to him. Just after ordering, he stood up. He came to me with the phone and he whispers to me, "Now I'll show you how we're gonna make a contract properly done with the right numbers on it." And I look at him and I say, "What the hell is he talking about?" So he started going on the phone, and then he went back to the table. And 5 minutes later, Ferdinand walks in, and he sits Ferdinand in the seat which was facing the window. Like I said before, we were a little bit higher from the ground, maybe half a floor up. And 10 minutes later, hell broke loose. There was about 30, 40 photographers outside, paparazzi. The flashlights coming from that window, taking all the pictures of the 3 of them sitting on the same table. And then on that evening, on the news was already out that Ferdinand was signing for Chelsea, was seen with the chairman, and the deal was done. And for about a week, I had Sky TV, ITV pointing at the restaurant outside, newspaper cutting, which I still have at home. For me, it was like an amazing, how do you call it, publicity for the restaurant. And it was all a setup, literally.
You couldn't buy that type of publicity.
No. It was all a setup. Basically invited Peter Kenyon for dinner. And then he asked Ferdinand to join them, who had already dinner somewhere else. So he didn't even order anything. He just had a few drinks. And they left. And the story goes that 2 weeks later, he was signed as the highest paid.
Yeah, so he signed it. So he ended up signing his contract. He ended up signing his contract with Man United, of course, and stayed there. But he then became the highest paid defender.
The highest paid defender in the history. Well, at the time, no.
Yeah, at the time.
10 times more. But they wanted to offer him £120,000 per week, and he got 150.
Yeah.
I said exactly that.
But it was basically all his agent that set the whole thing up.
Pini was amazing. He was very, very...
Yeah, they called him like the super agent, didn't they? He had all these, No way. So you're in London, and then how do you end up in Thailand? Like, how do you end up moving from there to hear?
Okay, so the story goes that you mentioned I had a chain of restaurant. It wasn't a chain. It was restaurants that opened one after the other. The maximum were 3 together. And during 2008-9, when there was the banking crisis, we literally hit the wall with no brakes at 150 miles per hour. Business stopped. It was almost like what happened with COVID. People used to go out, but only drinking tap water, 1 plate of pasta, and that was it. And I had to start closing 1 down, 2 down, and 3 down at the time. And then I reopened one as Cavallino, which was the one we mentioned before. That I didn't stay long because of some issues. And I ended up working with Lapo El Can, which at the time was like the Prince Harry of Italy. William was his brother at the time, and he was Harry. And I remember that he asked me to look after him in a particular way, like a right-hand man. So
This is still in London?
when I was still in London in 2011. So for 18 months, I agreed to stay with him and help him. And we traveled the world, literally. Private plane. Again, this out of the blue. Private planes, fashion shows at the time, because he was involved in...
So what are you like, his assistant? Or
I was like an
like a
assistant,
bit of a fixer?
bodyguard, the kind of things, keeping away from trouble. I remember wherever we used to go, there would be a Ferrari California available because he owned Ferrari. So we remember being in Miami with a Ferrari.
Maybe we should
Los Angeles.
give us a bit of background on that. So this guy who you're with is part of the family that own Ferrari, right?
Stellantis Group, Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Lancia, Ferrari.
Okay.
The whole thing, like I said, is the Prince Harry of Italy. And so with that came also a lot of responsibility, because wherever we were, photographers looking at us. And I remember being in Miami in August there was this big scandal of the spread in Italy, which was taking the economy down completely.
All right.
And it was full of Italian on holiday. So I was thinking, how can it be that, Italy is just about to go bankrupt and everybody's here having parties and fun? And I remember walking down Ocean Boulevard with him. And in the end, we had to start running because everybody, goes, oh, look. And everybody was coming because they also own Juventus. So they were probably Juventus fan as well.
All right.
And remember, we had to run and then get into a taxi and run away immediately. But that was another period which was really behind my wildest dream. When I stopped working, he put a good word for me to be with Stéphane Rattel, which is somebody that I knew already from the past, who is the chairman of SRO. He's the Bernie Eccleston of GT racing.
All right.
That is actually also in now expanded to Asia. They're doing a lot of racing all over the world. And so I started working with him for about a year.
So that's you moving from restaurants and hospitality into motorsport.
I did 18 months with Lapo and then a year with the motor racing GT1. In between, I did some work with Ferrari, taking celebrity to the races to show them around, literally. What was the name? The guy, very famous British actor that he was asking, where was the engine of the car in a Formula 1 car? And then...
It's interesting that none of this is planned. Your journey is... so the other expats and people I've had on the podcast so far, and myself, is that whatever it is they've been doing or however they've found their way here, it's almost never planned. And life sometimes can just take you on these journeys, right? Are you someone that says yes to things? Do you give it much? Do you give any of this much thought? Or
no? Like I said, I had an amazing life. Every turn and corner, of course, there were downfalls.
Yeah, there is.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
But also times there was a time when I remember thinking, okay, we closed down all the restaurants. At the moment, I got nothing much left. I was going through my divorce and I was feeling like I failed.
Yeah. What's the stress and pressure of that? Closing restaurants and closing businesses down? And
not so good, because also you have to take care of your responsibility with the staff, with the suppliers, with all of that. And not so good, actually. So there was, the up and down and the up and down. And I remember having feelings like this, but then, the next day I would be driving on a Ferrari California across the bridge in Miami thinking,
How did it get here?
the sun, open top. What the hell am I complaining about?
Yeah.
So it was good. It was fun. It was all great. And then after working around the world again with motor racing, which was another big passion.
So what were you doing in motor racing?
I was running the hospitality for SRO and for some of the other teams at every circuit.
And it seems to me, it's like your people skills, isn't it? You're good with people.
That's all there was about
where it comes from, yeah. So someone saw you there and thought, oh, you could do that. Different industry, but you could do that. What you were doing in restaurants, really, wasn't it? It was...
If I go back to 1993, when I first opened my first restaurant, and I remember in those days I had the Nokia, which was a brick.
All right, yeah.
But I had to have it.
The battery still hasn't run out, by the way.
It's still full now.
Yeah.
And I was asked by James Gilby to do the catering at the Formula One race at Silverstone for Lotus F1.
All right.
James Gilby, you may recall from your past, Gilby family, the Jean family, but he was the big scandal that erupted about Princess Diana lovers. He was the one that used to call her Squeegee on the telephones. And so... I remember, so he was working as the marketing director of Lotus during that period. And he asked me to do the catering for Lotus F1, and I just opened the first restaurant. And so I had this big telephone in my pocket, and I was fearful of what was going to happen in my newly opened restaurant. But at the same time, I'm doing the catering for Lotus, so it's okay. We did an amazing job, and the title sponsor of Lotus was Tommy Hilfiger, which was owned by Stroll. Lawrence Stroll was the owner of Tommy Hilfiger at the time, who now owns the Aston Martin Formula One team.
Oh, right.
And this big guy with a big cigar, at the end of us 3 days, we worked like dogs, comes to me and he said, "You did so good. All the newspapers are talking about our great hospitality, the food," because we were actually the first who brought in the first in Formula One. That was confirmed at a later date, and I tell you when. That we were the first people who brought fine dining into Formula One. And I wanted to do all the remaining of the races. Just name the price. And I look at him and I said, "I can't. I just open a restaurant. I should have done it." I refuse. And so we decided that we would do another one and finish. And I remember on the way back from that race at the airport, and I can't remember if it was Nice. No, it was after Silverstone. So I can't remember which airport. We were walking through the airport with James Gilby and Johnny Herbert, who was always a very funny character. And James went into the duty free, and this is a joke that goes around still today is in Formula One. He walked into the shop and he started picking a few things. And Johnny from behind mentioned, "Oh, one for Harry, one for William." And he was, shut up. People are listening." And everybody started laughing. There was a whole team there, so everybody was laughing about it. And then, that was the last of the hospitality that I did for Formula One, but I should have done it for continuously.
You said during that time you enjoyed it, but you missed restaurants, did you? You missed working?
I missed working in restaurants because
that's what you're growing up with.
My passion,
your passion is food as well, of course.
Food, for sure, and that rapport, that connection with people.
So your role in restaurants, so you've not had training as a chef, or it's always been more like running restaurants, has it? Or?
Over the years, I went purposely into the kitchen of every single restaurant I ran and learned all the menu, because I had a situation one time when one of the chefs, which was an amazing chef, still love him today, but unfortunately he was an alcoholic and he jumped off a bridge in Paris on the river. He decided one day to walk out and took 3 people with him, and we had a full restaurant and
no one to cook.
So then I thought, okay, the next time this is never going to happen again. So I decided then that I would go into each menu, each restaurant, learn the menu, and if anybody had any more issues as such, then I would go in and take over. So I know how to cook.
So when you finish your motorsport, where does you move into Thailand fit into?
I was asked for many years. I mentioned earlier that one of the shareholders of Cavallino was the owner of Red Bull. So I was many times asked to do a project that would involve restaurants. And again, thanks to the Lord, I had an offer coming through to say, why don't you come to Thailand and we open...
Had you been to Thailand before?
Thailand. My first wife, I came to Hua Hin in 1986.
Oh, right.
First time.
Right. I didn't know that. Right.
My first wife was half Thai and half English, and she went to school in England, public school in England, and that's how I met her. It's a long story, but again, customers and the connection. And so we used to come to Thailand quite often, and they still own an apartment in Chaham in those days. But I remember coming into Chaham, I used to call it the Switzerland of Thailand, because the moment you were getting closer and closer to Hua Hin, the roads become better, flowers and plants, because of the king living here. It was kept much, much more nicer than anywhere else towards the journey. And there was nothing here. There was like maybe 2 or 3 hotels.
Yeah. And that'd have been like the Centara.
Centara, I remember going to the Centara with the elephant outside. Yeah. So it was Sofitel already.
Oh, right, yeah. So you come over here to work on a project. What project was that?
Was opening a restaurant originally, and I was given the choice to look into Bangkok, Hua Hin, and Samui. And out of the 3 places at the time, I had chosen Samui. Because one evening walking down the main Chaweng Road in Samui, I found a very old, good customer and friend of mine that was holidaying there. And I thought, okay, if this is the place where my old customer coming on holiday, then this is the right place for me. Then I came to Hua Hin and have a look. Then I went to Bangkok, and I could not understand, because my mind was set like London, big town. London, you have 3 or 4 areas: Chelsea, Westminster, Knightsbridge, which are the place where you want to be opening your restaurants. And Notting Hill at the time was fashionable. And so when I saw Bangkok, there was not such a place that...
Yeah, you couldn't make those comparisons. I've heard that before. I've got friends who live in London who come to Bangkok, and like, we're used to any cities, but we can't get there. Yeah.
So I really couldn't decide what was the place for Bangkok, which would have been right. Now I would know, but then not. So I chose Samui. So I went to Samui, and I ended up staying in Samui, waiting for this project to start for 6-7 years.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Is that how long you were there for?
Yeah.
What was it like living in Samui?
Samui was
on an island. I think that Samui is, a popular tourist destination. There is quite a big expat community there as well, but I've never fancied it really. I don't know.
Nelson Piquet once described racing in Monaco as racing in your living room on a bicycle, literally. And I would say that is actually the same. You always end up eating one corner of the island and bouncing back, and eventually you need to get out because it becomes claustrophobic. I remember, you go out and people will tell you, "Oh, I saw you yesterday there. Oh, 3 days ago you were there."
A bit of a golf bowl, a little bit.
Exactly. You feel like in a living room with your bicycle. And
I'm going to steal that, by the way.
And so every so often you needed to get out of the island.
Yeah.
And then luckily, again, I was headhunted by Centara.
All right.
My very good friend, Winfred Ako, who was the corporate director of food and beverage, he said that he saw my profile on LinkedIn, and he noticed that I at one stage I also ran a nightclub in London. So he saw restaurants with top dining, and then nightclubs. So he thought this is the right place, the right guy that I would like to choose to run Coast Beach Club.
Oh yeah,
and there was
So for people who don't know, Coast Beach Club is like Centara's.
Centara.
There's one here, right? So they have them all over, don't they?
What happened then was I was operation manager of GM of Coast in Samui, and the first thing that I did against all regulation in hotel, and I pissed off so many people from the corporate HR in Bangkok, was to take off name tag and tell the girls that they could have the hair whatever they want, whatever color they want.
Why did you do that?
Because it's a beach club. And if we are going to have a stuffy beach club with the regulation that hotels, hairs up, no makeup, no tattoo, what's the point? So the first thing was to do that. We took out name tag and I let them literally put makeup on and do anything they wanted. If they had tattoo, they didn't need to cover, so they could roll up their shirts. Within seconds, you could see the difference that the staff had by going towards communication with the customer, because they didn't have anymore the fear of making a mistake and being named because of the name that they had here. So there were sales shoot up. Then I started creating some events. One of them, which was very successful in one of my restaurants in London, was the Little Black Dress Party. Every lady coming in a little black dress party would not be paying for the food and drinks. They just welcome to. So eventually, the first 3 or 4 party, I just had 30 beautiful girls only.
Tell me once, I'll touch on that, because you've done the Little Black Dress event here as well in Wine, right? So this is an idea that you've used, but you said to me in London, you had like Kate Moss and Naomi Campbell coming.
Kate Moss, you name it, all the models were there. And, it was a place which was frequented by big bankers. I name one like Vincent Shangi, which he was responsible for bankrupting Iceland with...
Oh, right, yeah, I've seen something.
Actually, please don't quote me on this one. This is Brown, because he got away. It was...
it's a famous story anyway.
But it's a very famous story. And so these people, they used to come in and see beautiful girls in one table, beautiful girls in another. Guido, send Dom Perignon, send crystals. And then it would be a whole big party with everybody knowing each other. It was like phenomenal. And then, like people used to come in from the window. And when you had people like Naomi Campbell joining in a Little Black Dress Party, or Kate Moss, or I can't remember all the names of the models in those days, but it was super, it was amazing. And so I took that one and
you did it in Samui as well.
In Samui, and that became very successful. So basically, I think I started in June, and by low season, which was October, we tripled the revenue of the beach club. And by November, I was appointed to become general manager of all Coast nightclubs, Coast clubs, which meant then, luckily, when I was saying, I would be traveling to Hua Hin, Phuket, Pattaya. There was another one on the opening in Krabi. So I was responsible for all.
What year is this as well?
2015 to 2019.
Okay.
And then we
that was like a peak time as well for like tourism and stuff here, wasn't it? That was like real.
And this cost took off immediately.
And for Samui as well. I mean, of course, people have been visiting Samui before then, but I think those times from like 2010, to probably 15 was like, you see the arrivals for Thailand. It's just going like this, right? And Samui was a big part.
In between, there was also the coup d'etat, I think, which was a little break, but that didn't stop people.
Yeah, there was that. Was it 2009 they shut the airport? Was it just before? Maybe was it 2011? Maybe I can't remember.
13, 14.
There was that bit in between, but generally speaking, it doesn't affect places like Samui, that does it? Yeah. No. So from doing that, is that how you then came to Hua Hin?
And then then I was after working in Centara, I was GM of a small boutique hotel company, 3 hotels in Samui, and then the call came to come and run here on another project, and I stayed. Then COVID arrived. My office was in Bangkok. Then I was asked to move here because it was safer for my family. Thank God again, I was living in the house here. Amazing. And it was the time when I decided don't need to go back to Bangkok. I can travel the other way around. And I found a house here and I stayed here because it's much more convenient and much better. Actually.
And then here being, of course, Monsoon Valley. So explain to people who might not know what Monsoon Valley has here.
Monsoon Valley, it's a world in another world because when you come into Hua Hin, you think beachside.
Yeah.
Monsoon Valley is literally a little paradise outside of a tourist town. The first thing that will hit you is the fact that we have 300 beautiful olive trees. And as you drive through, you see these silver leaves dancing with the wind, which is amazing. And then you see the hills, and then you see vineyard. And Thailand and vineyard is something that really doesn't connect with your brain.
Yeah, I think people raise.
amazing.
I think people raise their eyes. To be fair, they think, oh, they're making wine in Thailand,
Correct.
or don't they? And even in this region, they perhaps don't think.
Correct. And as I mentioned earlier, I became friend with the owner since 1995. And we were tasting the wines, the beginning of those wines, which were not here yet. But the first vineyards were in Khao Yai and Chiang Mai. And I was tasting we were doing the tasting of the first wines then that were not particularly successful with the production. And from that day until what we have today, it's incredible that the progress and the quality and how good those wines are. And I'm not saying it because I'm Monsoon Valley, but I'm saying it because I was there at the beginning and I'm here at this time and seeing what they've done, what we are doing, I have to say. It's incredible.
What are some of like the standout wines? If somebody was to visit, what would you recommend? Or I know you've won awards. What's the standout there?
Our best seller, because of the quality and because of they really are very good, are our Shiraz Rosé, the red Shiraz. Of course, we have our flagship wines, which are very good, but there's two in particular for the quality and the price that they have are amazing. My particular favorite, it's a wine that we started creating 3 years ago, out of the blue, out of a conversation, which is called Dombrusco. But
oh yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
The reason it's because we always try to combine Thai wines and Thai food. And so that's
not necessarily an easy thing to do, to combine
spicy food is very, very difficult to combine with any wines. And the reason that Dombrusco is successful at being combined with any spicy food is because it has a very fruity taste, and it's a bit of sparkling. So the fruitiness kills the spiciness of the food, and the sparkling clears the palate from the greasiness, and that is the perfect marriage. So for me, that one is my favorite. And to this day, if I ever give it to anybody to taste, the connotation with Dombrusco is Lambrusco, which is very similar. And Lambrusco, people always think that it's terrible wine, cheap wine and everything. Actually not. In Italy, we are now growing. Pavarotti has an amazing, or had, still his wife runs it, vineyard where they're making Lambrusco top quality that they win all the time. Prices for it, and so we did a good quality Dombrusco. And when people are tasting, I still have 100% success rate that people will go out with at least one bottle in their hand.
Yeah. So if people are visiting the vineyard, it's open every day. It's open all year round. Is it? There's a restaurant there and stuff, isn't there? You can do tours. Tell us a
we have
bit.
Vineyard tour. We have elephants, which I researched for 3.5 hours one time on Google. Is the only vineyard that I've seen with elephants. And every so often you see them walking around the vineyard, which is like, again, a trip for some. And we have the restaurant, which is serving very good food, but also we do the wine tasting. We do all sorts of wine education, especially because the dream was to educate Thai people about wines, and that is our main concern. Our target is to get more Thai people to drink good wine.
Thai made wine as well. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thai made wine. People should be proud about it
Yeah.
because it really is something to be proud
Yeah.
with all the awards we won and everything. And then we also have different events. So the next big one that we do every Christmas, it's a big concert with 250 people joining. We do connected with the charity. We do a raffle and we do an auction and we raise money for the charity, which in this case, if anybody's watching, will be Hua Hin Heroes.
Yeah.
Please come and support them.
So when is this event?
On the 20th of December, Saturday, 20th of December.
Yeah, and for anyone who's not been at the vineyard, there's this beautiful outdoor space. You have a kitchen area, don't you, then? A beautiful outdoor space. Monsoon Valley sign up there. Which
we call it the Hollywood sign.
Okay, everyone takes a photo of us. It's all lit up, and there's like live music, jazz is to this time. Tell us a bit about that.
We have two bands. One which is a local band that are every so often on tournée around the world, and they're quite well known. They're doing an amazing job, and they're playing traditional Thai instruments as well as the usual electric guitar and saxophone and whatever, and the combination is fantastic. And then we have a Dutch jazz band that comes around in December from Holland, and they do a little tour around Thailand, and we always book them.
Yeah, what are they called? What's the name of?
B2F.
Yeah, okay. I've seen them before. They're good. Yeah.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
And again, I used to bring them down even to Samui for some concerts in the past to Coast. And after that, they are the biggest event that we do the whole year. It's our harvest. During the harvest, we have all sorts of activity for children, for family, for adults.
You can do like the grape stomping and stuff, right?
Grape stomping.
Yeah.
We do opening and closing dinner again, which are really a big feast of food, wines, wine education again. So we tell people what we have new and what we are doing, and we inform about the latest happenings with the vineyard.
So to recap, you've got the jazz event on December
20th.
Okay, so a good way to start the Christmas.
Correct.
It's in support of Hua Hin Heroes.
Correct.
There's jazz live music. There'll be about how many people?
250 is the
right, big event there.
Yeah.
And there's buffet.
And the target is also to have people dancing on the tables like we have every year because it's so much fun.
Okay.
Really is good fun.
Okay. And then you've got the Harvest Festival. What does that happen at the same time every year? When's?
Not at the same time, depending on, we need to check with our winemaker.
Oh, of course. He's dependent on the...
It's very much depending on how they work on the plants, literally to get the grape ready for certain period. The grape is actually ready from beginning of March onwards.
Okay.
Full. But sometime, depending on the weather, a week or two before, it's actually fine. The reason we're doing it from the 20th of February, more or less every year, for 10 days, is because February is cooler, and so people can go into the vineyard and pick up their own grapes that eventually they're going to be doing the stamping with without too much heat, because it can be quite disturbing otherwise.
Okay.
So that's the reason we're doing a little bit earlier than the actual proper harvest moment. Okay,
I'm sure we'll learn more about that in the run up. But around February time, the festival. Yeah. Okay.
There is also a plan to have. Last year we did an amazing event with the run in the.
Yeah, right. The wine run. Yeah.
And the wine run, we are planning to do it again this year, which was so much fun again to see like hundreds of people running inside the vineyard and some drinking.
Yeah. I think you're good at that. You're good at, maybe you in particular, but seeing like an event and thinking, how can we make this work at the vineyard?
Yeah.
You normally find a way. That running event was a good example of that, because it combined, and it probably got all different people who might not normally go to the vineyard. It got them there as well, right? Yeah. So you're kind of opening it up to more people for other things other than wine drinking, really. Yeah.
Last year, I thought it would be just serial runners.
No, it wasn't.
But actually, we have families, we have kids, we have people walking the dogs, we have people walking with their children, children that are out running their parents, like in my case. It's fantastic. It really was a good fun.
Good time. Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll hear more about all of those events. You're also, Monsoon Valley has the wine bar in town. What's going on there? What can you tell us about that?
Exciting times because when I joined this company, the wine bar was refurbished at the same time, literally as I started, and we had created a menu and a brand that was completely different from what he actually ended up with, simply because we opened on the 2nd of January of 2020. And by the end of that month, the lockdown came into effect, or February, I think it was.
Is that all it was when you opened that place? Yeah, was it? Yeah.
Literally was. So the concept was never properly run. And then it happened for a couple of years. This we can drink, we cannot drink.
Do you remember that whole period of?
Actually, I think most people ever raised it.
Yeah. When you talk about it now or think back to it, you think, what? It's all mad, right?
And you don't even want to talk about it. Yeah. So that concept was never run. And then we decided, okay, in 2023, we decided let's do a complete overhaul and change, since we could not attract the clientele that we wanted to attract at the time with the reopening in between after COVID. So the new concept will be completely different in the way that we are going to do fusion Thai food, because the quest or the mission is to get Thai wine, Thai food pairing, and the target of having more Thai people drinking and eating Thai food. So my instruction is to do a restaurant that will not be in any way successful in terms of economics. We don't really have to make a profit, but we want to expand the knowledge of the wine culture, which means it will be Thai fusion, Thai wines, and I would even say almost at street food price.
Are you renovating? Are you doing a lot of renovation?
We started yesterday, literally.
Okay.
So it will be smart. You asked me before what was the success formula in London. I'm trying to reproduce the same way. In London, in the 90s, there was a big revolution on the Italian restaurant
life scene.
I remember restaurants used to have carpets. There was a very famous architect called Apicella that started designing restaurant and put tiles. The making of the tiles created noise inside the restaurant, which people actually enjoyed. There was like that atmosphere of noise inside and happiness and laughing, which you would hear. And then in the 90s, we went for a recipe, let's call it, where we would give you fine dining looks, so tablecloth, napkin, fresh flowers, beautiful ambiance, with food Italian, traditional, at middle range prices. So you could feel like you were in a very high range restaurant, but with prices which were very contained, and it became an immediate success because a lot of people could afford it and started going out more often to Italian restaurants, and more or less every restaurant's opening was successful if they had good food. And what we are trying to do is the same here, making it more affordable, because the look will be fine dining, low prices, and every dish will be paired with a 50 ml glass of wine.
When approximately will this be ready?
We will try to open it just before the harvest, so just before the 20th of February of this year.
What, the last bit on Monsoon Valley, what would you say to people who will be like, and we'll get them in the comments maybe, it'd be like, you can't make wine in Thailand, it's not the climate. What would you say to someone that's maybe unsure or of trying Thai wine? What would you say to them?
Thai wine is here to stay and is here to improve. And we are not the only company in Thailand making good wine. And it's only fair to say that, because a lot of people are working hard on making this happen. And the more competitors we have, the better, because the name and the quality of Thai wines will improve, will also be across the rest of the world. We are not New World, we are called Latitude 12, I think.
Okay.
And what I will say to people, it's keep watching, because technology is improving on making wines, technology is improving on harvesting, technology is improving on growing, technology is improving on understanding how to grow those plants. We're working also with the universities to know and to see how we can make a plant give the best results. Because of course, if you're bringing a horse that runs in England to Thailand, it's so hot that horse will never be as successful as a local horse, let's say. Needs to adapt. So this
got to adapt to the environment and
needs to adapt to the environment, and that would make it better and better. It's been always a dream of the owner of the vineyard to make it happen, and it's happening, and it's a pleasure to see it happening. Like I mentioned, since 1995 to today, it's gone up.
The change is
really amazing.
All right. Before we finish, Monsoon Valley sponsor Alex Albon, the Formula One driver. Tell us a little bit about how that came about. Were you involved in that? Do you know? I know Alex has been to the vineyard. Just tell me a little bit about that. Who is Alex Albon for a start? Alex Albon is a British-born Thai Formula One driver racing with the Thai passport, which will mean if he ever gets to the top of the podium, the Thai national anthem will be sung. Will be who does he race for? I don't know much about F1, so excuse the questions. But currently racing and doing an amazing job for Williams Formula One Grand Prix team. Okay. And how did he come by? It's again kind of a long story, but we will try to make it as short as possible. Through my connections in Formula One, over the years, I met a manager called Rod Vickery, who at the time was Johnny Herbert manager, and Eddie Irvine for a short period. And he was introduced to this kid at the age of 11 that was winning and winning and winning on the go-kart, beating there is 4 kids now with Russell, Lando Norris and Verstappen and himself. And Alex was beating them all in those days in the karting. And he knew that I knew the Thai owner of Red Bull. So he asked me to introduce him because the kid was Thai and that he was doing well and that he was talented. So we arranged a lunch meeting in my restaurant, the one where our friend from Chelsea used to come. And there was 6 of us, including me. And young Alex was standing this. All right, you've known him that. I didn't know you'd known him that long, Alex Albon. I thought you'd known him just through the sponsorship. No, Alex was known him since he was a kid. Then, yeah. Alex was introduced by me to Chalerme at the time, and the first question that he was asked with his parents sitting down, it was, "If I support your racing career, will you race with the Thai passport?" And the kid said, "Yes, I will." Right. And that started the journey that took him into Formula 3, Formula 2, and Formula 1. He's always been supported by Red Bull team, but the Red Bull Academy. And then he had a bit of a setback, unfortunately, like all the drivers had when they're joining against Max Verstappen, because he's unbelievably good. And then he went to racing, to GT racing for a year with Ferrari, and he did very well there. And then he came back with Williams F1. When he races, and you can see the monster, is it on his helmet or is it on his? It's on his helmet. It's on his helmet and on his shoulder. You see the Monsoon Valley logo, and you're like, well, yeah, Monsoon Valley. So yes, Alex, I know him since he was an 11-year-old kid that started or was racing in go-kart. I don't know what it is with F1. I don't know. My daughter's really into it. She's not picked up from me. I don't know where she's got it from. Well, actually, I do know where she's got it from. And it's from like TikTok and Instagram, and she's a big fan of Alex Albon because of the Thai connection, of course, but she was explaining to me there's like a whole load of Thai kids in the local school here who are all switched on to F1, and it's all through TikTok and the social media. And I actually find that interesting that it's reaching people that perhaps they never expected, or maybe they did. It's probably all part of the plan, I guess. But it's interesting how there's like all these real youngsters are properly into it, you know.
Over the years, we mentioned that my first race was with the wife of Bernie Eccleston. So I attended to 105. My next one is 6 races.
Okay.
And Bernie was a genius with what he did with Formula One. But the one thing that he never understood was social media and opening up Formula One to social media. And then Liberty Media, who took it over, did that, open it to... And the best thing that ever happened to Formula One was the Netflix...
Oh, right, yeah, I've not seen it yet.
You start watching the first episode. When it comes out, I watch it in 2 days, 10 episodes. I stay awake at night because I really like it. And that was the best thing that ever happened because it opened up to an audience with kids, with girls, because they're all recognizing the good-looking driver and they support whoever it is. With women, it became a huge instant success opening it to social media. So much so that a team that was sold by Eddie Jordan 10 years ago for $75 million, it's today worth $3.5 billion.
Well, by reaching all these youngsters, they're kind of guaranteeing the next generation of fans, right? I know a lot of sports having difficulty in getting younger people. I'm thinking in the UK, like it's been talked about in rugby and cricket. Cricket is trying all different things to get new people, different formats. But F1 hitting all people on TikTok and social, you're kind of guaranteeing that next generation of fans and maybe even a few drivers coming through, seeing off the back of it, you know.
It's 20 drivers, so it's very, very selective. And 10 teams, 11 next year. It's very entertaining. It's a lot of happening and it's very fast. And it really hits everybody in one way or another, which is what Formula One attracted me, because it was technology and fun and
speed
and to see who is the best one. And, you know, every driver, if you put them in the same car, the difference would probably be 2/10 of a second between the fastest and the slowest. But it's just that little bit of difference that can make you a champion or the last one on the grid.
You've been to 105 Grand Prix then. Which is your favourite track or race or Grand Prix?
The next one.
Nice.
No. That is what was the answer when Enzo Ferrari was asked, which is your favorite Ferrari? Because you never know what to expect out of a race. The next one is always going to be as entertaining or as successful or as useful. For me, it's useful because I get a lot of connection whenever I go. Incidentally, the new CEO of Formula One is a very, very good friend of mine, because he used to be the team principal of Ferrari Formula One, Stefano Domenicali, and I was asked to introduce him to the Prime Minister of Thailand to create an opening door for Thailand to have a future Formula One race. So for me, that is what I like to see. It's to see this Formula One race.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about that in more detail next time. But just give us a general overview of that. What's happening with Formula One and Thailand? Like, just generally speaking, I know it's been in the news. Is there a race planned? What's kind of out at the moment?
It's still all confirmed. It's still all ongoing. There will be a date on 20 December, which will be the decision-making date where they will either decide to release the finance for this project or not.
But essentially, the Thai government have said, we want the F1 to come to Thailand. It's going to be in Bangkok. The plans are Is it like a street race? What? Or
The plan is a street race. Everybody more or less know that the area will be chosen. It's near Chatuchak. Reason is because also we have an airport nearby, so for the logistic is spot on, perfect place. There are difficulties on creating a circuit in Thailand with on the street because of the traffic, because of all the
layout and infrastructure, I guess.
Electrics, plumbing, water, flooding, everything. But it can be done, and the process is ongoing. So there is a lot of people working on it at the moment. And once we get that hurdle on the 20th of December, the whole process will start properly. And looks like we're going to have a Formula One race. Thailand has seen, since the first introduction that I made, 3 prime ministers and 3 sport ministers. And there probably be a chance of having a 4th one with the new election in March. We are hoping that between now and the 20th of December, there is not going to be a dissolution of parliament, because otherwise no one will sign any papers.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Until the next government.
Yeah.
So that will create a delay if it's still going on.
But all being well, next few years, there'll be a F1 race in Bangkok. It'll mean you won't have quite as far to travel to go to a...
No, exactly. I can't wait to see it happen. But also, Thailand has a bit of history with Formula One, with Prince Biran in the 50s, I think.
Oh, right.
He used to race. I think his best ever result was 3rd,
right,
on a Formula One race. So there is history on it. There was plans to have a Formula One race in the 40s that was stopped by the war. And there was a plan also to have a Formula One race in 2013. There was already the layout of the circuit, which was going around Monument Square.
All right.
And so, and Thailand actually has an amazing connection with the car industry, because it's the 10th biggest manufacturer of car, assembled but not produced, but assembled. So there is a huge market, and that attracts the Japanese manufacturer.
Well, you think if they got a champion, if Alex Albon, was on the podium, or what you think what that'd do? Imagine if he's on the podium at a race in Bangkok, what that'd do for the sport. It'd be huge.
It will create a huge interest from all sorts in Thailand. Particularly, will become it's actually more or less the most important or well-known sport personality in Thailand as it is now, because of course it's only one of 20 Formula One races.
Right.
We are looking also after another young kid that is coming up at the moment through the ranks. Is racing in Formula 4 Europe at the moment, and we are trying to get him here in time for 2029 to be a F1.
Okay, so they could have 2 Thai races potentially. Yeah,
potentially 2.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, Guido. Let's wrap this up. But if quickly, December the 20th, Monsoon Valley, the jazz event. Okay, and then look out for the new things happening at the wine bar next year, and the Harvest Festival as well. But it's been a pleasure. I could chat to you. We'll definitely have you back on, because we haven't even talked about like life in Hua Hin, expat life. We haven't touched on any of that. I kind of knew that would happen, because you'd have so many stories. So we'll have to invite you back on.
I was very lucky. That's
a real pleasure, Guido. Thanks very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Hua Hin Today podcast. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. We're at Hua Hin Today Videos on YouTube and Hua Hin Today News on Facebook. We're also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also subscribe to our email newsletter at huahintoday.com/subscribe. There you'll get the latest news, info and events in Hua Hin. And if you've got a guest suggestion or a topic you'd like us to cover, drop us a message or a comment. We'd like to hear from you. See you in the next one.